The Librarians, Season 2, Episode 3, and What Lies Beneath the Stones. Let's talk about that, shall we? Before we get started, once again, I'd like to apologize that I am filming from my laptop, so the video quality isn't the best, and the sound may cut off with the video at times, may not. It didn't last time, but apologizing in advance. So in this episode, we traveled to Jake's hometown, and I was highly anticipating this episode from the time, like a month before the show came out when they released all 10 episode descriptions, because they talked about the librarians having to hash out issues. Now, I was expecting the trust issue to come up. It did not, unfortunately, but there was so much more that we got from this episode, and the trust thing can come, and that way I can still write about it in fan fictions, right? Okay. So we're traveling to Jake's hometown because there is a shape-shifting god called Holokolonote. I think that's how he pronounced it. And we meet up with Jake's father. So much pain in this episode, and I knew there was going to be pain from the episode descriptions and the interviews about this episode. But I just want to start with something because this is the biggest thing I'm thinking about right now. I was expecting to be hurt by this episode. I was expecting all of that pain to come from Jacob Stone. I was not expecting to have my heart ripped out of my chest by Cassandra. Oh my God. I can't with the show right now. So it's not enough that they give her a brain tumor. And we always have to keep that in the back of our mind that that's a thing. Now we know she has a chosen death date. Oh, I just want to cry because it still hurts. I was physically aching for like 20 minutes after she said that. Oh my God, it's just to think that it makes the fact about her having a brain tumor and gonna die someday, it makes it all the more real. Someone said to me on Tumblr, I want to know when that day is, and I'm like, I don't. What's wrong with you? Anyway, no offense if you're the person who said that. But, so we got so much from this episode. But the one thing, I'm going to move on to cheerier things now, because that was just a really painful thing that I had to mention, because, like, if you would rip my heart out of my chest, chopped it up into bits, put it in a food processor, and then sauteed it with, like, chipotle sauce, it would have hurt less than having Cassandra say that. Because that's just, oh, God. But we can get past it. Yes, so the episode starts, and we see Jake's father at the beginning with the real start of the episode that I just rewatched after it was over because I loved this scene so much. I was expecting Cassandra to come in the I Trust You. I was not expecting more flirting, a continuation of what we got in the premiere, which was, and this was even better. I mean, pretty much the same, that he's sitting there working on an article, and she brings him his coffee, and then they're just talking. It was like they were married, like they were little married babies, and it was so cute. And they're not even dating, but it looked like that. It was like domestic Cassandra. I just like, wow. I just love that scene so much. I can't get it out of my head. It was great, and the comedy in this episode. This episode was so funny, and I loved it. I mean, the Librarians is always really funny, but they delivered a really good amount of comedy in this episode to balance the pain, which we're gonna get to. But we have Ezekiel. First of all, they have a theater in the library, like, come on! And I loved Ezekiel's insistence that it was a poltergeist. And when they're down in the cave originally, just Ezekiel and Isaac and the dude, and as the lights flicker and Ezekiel's like, they're here. The Oklahoma references by Jenkins. Honestly, now the best line I have ever heard in this show. Jacob Stone Alone in Oklahoma is the version of the Rodgers and Hammerstein's musical that no one should ever have to see. And then later he made the reference like, oh, you're back there where the wind goes sweeping down the plain. I'm such a theater nerd, and the amount of theater references that we have gotten in this theater so far, the amount of theater references that we have gotten in this season so far is making me so happy. In the first episode, we got the reference to the Scottish play and the curse of that in the second, that was in the second episode. In the third episode, We get references to Oklahoma. 2 references to Oklahoma. I love the dynamic of seeing the Lits work together again without Eve, especially because we never even got to really see that in the first season of what they might have been like in Peru, what they how they're working together. And I love how this season we're really starting to establish this, like, these individual characters. We're learning about Jake's past, and I'm so proud of his character development in this, realizing that he's just coming to the realization of why he is the way he is, and him just realizing, hey, it's okay to be who he is, and he doesn't have to rely on his family. And then we have Ezekiel just being this quirky guy, and he stole for Her Majesty, he stole for the Queen. I can't. And then we have Cassandra being so independent, and she's just like this independent but so quirky and cute at the same time. Her standing up to Jake's father and her shutting down his sexism. Like that. I'm so proud of her. And every part of this episode. So getting on to the more painful things, because that's really what this episode was. Let's get real. We talked about the thing that Cassandra said. Well, one of the things that she said, but that was the big thing. Oh, with the comedy. Comedy gold was when Cassandra kept revealing all the truths. She stole sheet music from Aladdin for her 5th grade music class. She hates babies. She has an irrational fear of ravioli. I want to know the backstory to all these little revelations. And I want to know how the story went with when I saw the light leave his eyes. How did that story begin? How did that story end? I need to know. We got like a little bit of a dark side to her in those backstories. It was funny. But onto the pain. So we see Jake's father pretty much treating him like dirt. Saying, you don't know anything, you're not smart, you're just like this. And him, like, you left your family behind, you did this, you did that. And Jake explaining what it was like with his father. And that hurt so much to see Jake's father, like, treating him like that. It was to see where his pain and where his reservations come from. And that scene where he told his father he was a genius, and then it was whole Colonote. I was like crying for him when he was screaming, I'm a genius pie, I know this, I know this. Oh, and then he never actually got to tell him, and I'm really disappointed they didn't actually have him tell his father that, hey, I'm a genius. But I think it does show something about his character. It was important for his character development, but I really would have liked to see his father's actual reaction. I really would have liked to meet the rest of his family, like Mama Stone. He said in the first season he has nieces and nephews. Where are they? But at the same time, I'm a little glad because I have read and written so many fan fictions. There's probably like 500 different versions of Jacob Stone's family in my head right now, and to have to give any one of those up, I would have been upset. But I do want to know what they are really like eventually. I am so proud of Jake that he stopped using the surname, and I would have loved if they had Cassandra there to like see him do that. That would have been that just would have torn my heart out, like, but in a good way. So then we have the librarians talking about why they left after Peru, why they split up. And we really didn't get anything from Ezekiel. We just heard from Jake and Cassandra about that. Jake saying he didn't want them to see him fail. And Cassandra saying she wanted to prove she could do it on her own, but she looks right at Jake and says, I liked having you there. I'm so not over that she chose her death, that she knows exactly when, and this episode, man, this episode did things to me, man. Not as much as the premiere, but this episode did things to me in a different way. Oh, God. So we know Jake Stone's backstory now. Not as much backstory-ish as I thought we were going to learn, but we know more of the deep roots of his family. And moving on to the pain, we still don't know where Flynn is, so Flynn and Eve are still fighting. Because obviously the way she was talking, I mean, I had felt better about it when I rewatched the second episode. I'm like, they're not angry, they're just hurt, but she seems angry here. What we mean is they haven't talked. He's still gone. Yeah, and if they did talk, it wasn't good. So, I think that's it with this episode. I don't think I forgot to mention anything this time. Just the hurt. The hurt I am still feeling from that little revelation from Cassandra. The hurt in this episode should be coming from Jake, not from Cassandra. This was Jake's episode. And yet we got that devastating blow. I swear to God, if they don't give us a cure, they don't give us an episode where she gets cured after that revelation before this series ends, I'm gonna have to punch someone in the face because No, if this series ends and they still have... No, I refuse. I will write a letter to Dean Devlin and be like, no, I refuse. You're fixing this now. So, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Librarians this episode. Last time I told you guys to talk to me and then I tried and YouTube wouldn't let me reply to comments. I don't really know what's going on. Google Plus kind of messed everything up. But you can still tell me what you think, and if I can reply, I will. So, that's it, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, Lits.